Okay, week 5, Thursday, last session for the week. Hope everybody's been doing good. We are going to follow up on some of the work that we did yesterday, where we got an AI character and we have some patrol points in here, but we had some issues where things weren't quite working the way that we wanted them to. So, as an example, well, let's go back to our blueprint here, just review what we did. So we created a custom function right here, and that custom function is right here. So this is all the stuff we're doing in move to next point. And then at the end of that, we're just going to loop it back and say, let's do all the move to next point again. And let's just review our code. So first of all, we got all the patrol points that we have in our level. And I have, how many do I have? I have 4 currently. And after we did that, we're going to tell our AI, which is this cute guy right here, tell that to move to the next patrol point. And then if that's successful, we want to set the next control point or patrol point to be number 2 and number 3 and number 4 and so on. And then this important thing right here is the length. So this is how many total patrol points do we have in our level? Because if we have 3, we don't want this number here to get set to 4. We want it to get set to back to 0. Okay. And another thing we did was we simulated. So if I go click this button, we can watch all this happen in our blueprint. So with this button clicked, we'll go to simulate, which is right here, the 3 dots. This is what we usually do is the new editor window, but we're going to do simulate. Okay, on begin play. Well, let me save this real quick. Save up, save all. Okay, press play. I'm sorry, simulate. Okay. And we see here that nothing is happening. So this should all be lighting up, right? This should be showing us exactly what's happening, where we are in our blueprint, and all that good stuff. But it's not. So there's a couple things we need to check. First, let's go back to our game, and I'm just going to press play from here. Which is down at the bottom. Bear with me a sec. We had the same thing happen last night where the first time I did that, Unreal wanted to misbehave. Let me just see if I can alt out of here. There we go. Let's press regular play. So we press play and nothing's happening. Okay. So the first thing is a couple things we need to check. One is when we created our AI Defender, we created a mesh, a head, and a body. And my guess is this guy is not moving because we have something called can affect navigation. And we don't want this character messing with our nav mesh. If you remember, our nav mesh is this, and I'll press P and I'll show you everywhere that our AI characters are allowed to go. there it is. So everything that's green here is where we can go. Now, this is interfering with it, and I can tell because look at this weird square underneath our character. That should not be there. In fact, it's not there for any of our patrol points. So there's something with our character that needs to be fixed. I'll turn P off again because that's a lot of information. Okay. So this needs to be unchecked. If you have it in your game where it's checked, let's make sure to uncheck it for everything in our AI character. That will be the main component, which is this capsule. Also, the mesh needs to have that unchecked, the head unchecked, body unchecked. Now, I don't know if you guys had that same issue, but I did, and that caused me some problems. So again, your mesh, your body, your head can ever affect navigation. Make sure that is unchecked. All right, let's save up here. And you'll notice when I go to P, that little square underneath has disappeared. So we are all good. So our guy was getting stuck in that square and couldn't move. All right. So let's go back to our event graph and let's do the simulation again. Try to make this a little bigger for you guys to see. Okay, we'll click simulate and then click simulate. Okay, there it goes. It's going to the move to, and it's going to take it just a few seconds, and there's the success. Okay, but are you noticing something as it goes through this loop? It's never pulling any of this stuff. It's actually going right here, 0, 0, 0. And we can see that visually. Save up everything here. We'll turn that off. It's supposed to be going to these patrol points, but let's watch what happens when we again click simulate. It's going here, and then it's stopping. Huh. So we got to figure out, well, why is it going to 0, 0, 0, which, by the way, is the middle of our field, 0, 0, 0. Well, that is because we forgot, I should say, I forgot that we have to give this character the checkpoints. So we're going to select our character, our defender in the map. And if we scroll down, let's see, where is it? Right here, default, patrol points, 0. So we don't have any, we haven't told it to go to any of the patrol points. That's the problem. So we need to click the plus, and then we need to go and select a patrol point. And we'll just do one to see what happens. So I will go back up here and where's the, how many do I have in here? I have 4. Okay, so, okay, Carol's back. Welcome back, Carol. So now if I simulate, there he goes, finally. He's going to go to that one patrol point. Okay, so let's say, let's add another patrol point. Which one is this one? That is patrol point 3. Okay, so let's add, which will go down here again in default and patrol points. We'll add another element to our array, and this will be patrol point 3. And now let's simulate. Goes there, and he doesn't move here. Okay, so what's going on with that? My guess would be that the collision in these patrol points is causing the character to get stuck. So let me check that out. Go to my patrol point cone, and let's go to our viewport. Let's go to the cone. All right. We'll scroll all the way down on the right in the details panel with the cone selected. And I'm going to say no collision. Make sure that's selected. Compile, save all. Let's try this again. We'll go to simulate. And he's still stuck. Or is he? He's not stuck, actually, because we don't have any collision. So he's not getting stuck in the cone. So let's troubleshoot this just a little bit more. We go here, and let's run our simulation again. See what's happening. Okay. Going through here. Everything looks good. But I have made a note for myself last night. This needs to be reversed. And that is why our guy's only going to one patrol point. So we need to say not if the current point that he's at, right, is less than or equal to the length, then we do our logic. No, this needs to be here, and this needs to be here. So I'll go through that again to show you how you can easily change those. Just simply take this is the one we want at the top. This is the one we want at the bottom. And again, like we did these comments with the boxes and the colors and everything, you can always also just put like I did here, and I'll delete that. You can go anywhere in your thing and just hit the C button, and then you could say, you know, some comment here. I need to fix this bug. Okay. So I like to do that when I know that, okay, all this is working, but something's going on right here. And that helps me to come back to it because, I mean, this is, you know, already getting to be a pretty complex little thing, just, you know, patrol system. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least a dozen nodes. So you can imagine how important it is to comment your code when you start to get from a dozen to 100 nodes. All right, so let me compile and save. We'll go back to our test. We'll press play. Okay, goes there, and look at that. We fixed our bug. Woohoo! And because we're doing the looping, let me see if I can go back over here. Yep. Because we're doing our looping, he's going to continue to do this in a loop.
Can you knock him out of his path?
I think so. Let's see. Boom. But you know what? You can knock him out, but he will then get right back on it. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So that's awesome. Let's get some other AIs in the game. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to actually create a few more checkpoints. This will be checkpoint 5, and this will be checkpoint 6. And let's practice with getting maybe 3 or 4 AIs in here with different patrol points. So I'll drag another copy of that in here. Okay, you can press F to focus in on it. And we'll go down here. And by default, when you drag it in, it's not going to have any. So let's add a few. And remember, you can also use this little eyedropper, which when you roll over something that is compatible with, which is a patrol point, notice how it goes from the Ghostbusters slash red icon to something that lights up. Okay, so we can do that. Click another one here, eyedropper. Click on that one. Another one, eyedropper. We'll go to this one way over here. Okay. And let's press play and see what happens. Actually, I'll go up here and we'll press play. Yep. Let me get in a bigger view here for us. There we go. Okay. So he's going over here. Our first guy, he just goes back and forth. And again, like we said, you can knock them off their course. They'll get a little upset. Well, actually they won't, but we could program them to. And then they'll go right back to their regular patrols. Now, let's see if I can still score a goal. Ah, that was close. Oh, missed. So now it's getting a little more challenging. Because we've got these guys here that are just kind of going back and forth. All right, so let's try again. Let's get another, put them in here and just practice. And we'll go and give this one some patrol points. And this time we'll just select them from the list. Just kind of pick them randomly here. And the very first one is that one. Okay. And then just for fun, I want to see what happens if we drag a guy into here. Play from here too. See if it'll pop him up in the air. Oh, I forgot. Zoom doesn't like when I do that. There we go. Okay. Oh, nope. Now, notice the guy that I tried to put on the thing here. Where's he going? He didn't have any patrol points, right? Because I just dragged him in. I didn't assign any. All the other ones do. Well, that was the thing that we looked at the beginning of our session, right? This guy over here does not have any patrol points assigned. So in that case, he is going to just go here, the center of the field. So I'll show you that again. Save up everything. Keep an eye on this guy. We'll press play and watch him go head to the center of the field, because if he doesn't have a specific path, he's going to go there. All right. So let's review what we did. We made sure that our patrol points don't have collision. That's important, because I actually did test this, and when you add collision, in fact, we'll do that right now. We'll go here and we'll go block all and compile and save. And I think what'll happen is they'll get to Oh, well, I guess I was wrong. They'll sometimes they were sometimes getting stuck, but it looks like they're not. Oh, hi. Looks like they're bouncing off of it. Okay, that's probably because we fixed the other thing that I wanted to mention in our recap, and that was to make sure that we had the can ever affect navigation unchecked. Okay, that's important for a moving AI character. And the last thing that I want to do, or let me see, did we have anything else we needed to? We also talked about how with your characters selected, you can use both the um, eyeball to pick stuff if it's compatible. Add another one here. Pick that over there. And you can also use the drop down. So either one. Save up. Now, one more thing I want to do before we finish up is I feel like I want to see these guys move a little faster. So, anybody remember how we do that? Remember we talked about max walk speed and how even if you're running, they still call it walk speed in Unreal Engine. Okay, so let's search for that in our AI characters character movement. Let's search for walk speed, and there it is. And we reduced it to 300, and I know for a fact that the default is 600, which I could type in here, but you see this little arrow that says reset this property to its default value. And not only is that a great way to easily reset something to the default, but it also gives you a visual indicator of things you have changed. And I'll do that. Compile and save. And another one probably, just to show you, would be this directional light. So you see these arrows here? That tells me that, okay, I changed those. Because if I reset and reset and reset, it'll go back to the default. I'm going to change this back to 5. And we'll use the temperature and make it a little cooler. And let's make it a little later in the afternoon. If you remember how we do that, we can just reduce the sun angle, which actually you can see it up there in the sky. It's the Y value that you just changed the rotation. See how the sun's moving? Make it actually bring the sun down to the other side. Okay. I'm wondering if Carol, if that might be why you guys are seeing a black screen. It's because maybe the sun is all the way off. We can take a look at that. So let's have one more test and we should see faster AIs. And there they go. Okay, now this is getting to be a little more raucous. Okay. All right. So this week we created our first artificial intelligence characters in our game. They're not very pretty, but hey, they work. They move around. We can tell them to do stuff. We can tell them how fast to move. We can try to knock them off course, and they'll be very diligent about going back to the path they're supposed to be on. So this was probably one of the most complex weeks that we will have in this course because this is a lot of stuff here, working with AI controllers and patrol points and movement and all those kind of things. So we'll wrap it up here. I hope that everybody has a great weekend. And if anybody wants to stick around, I'll go ahead and turn the recording off here and we can do some troubleshooting. I will need to restart the meeting because we have a limit on the number of minutes at a time. So I'm going to stop here and I will open the meeting back up. And if you'd like to join, If you have any questions or if you want to troubleshoot maybe why we're having some issues with your map, I'll be here. So with that, have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.